I love the nature of things, and it's part of what I practice in Chinese medicine is like looking at the nature of how something operates, whether cold can be more contractile and the symptoms of that can create, or heat can be more expansive, and the different ways that things work like that. And I'm quite curious around plant medicines and knowing their nature, where you feel like they sit as far as a method to cleanse us, if you're cold, if you're not cold, just general inquiry around how you feel about the subject through your own studies and your own experience.
Great. I think that's a really hot topic at the moment, right? So it's really good to speak to, right? And just, I suppose, just explore, right? Because everyone adds their own perception on that, because everyone has their own relationship or experiences with different medicines. For me, the use of these sacred medicines has come at a really pivotal time in human evolution. They've always been there, but they're definitely on the rise. Somewhat living in accordance there with when the student is ready, the teacher shall come, right? I feel like the students of humanity are finally ready to enter into, explore the great learning halls that these medicines can open us to. They have their own intelligence just like everything else, right? I feel like the agenda of the plants is just the agenda of Mother Nature herself, right? They're ambassadors of nature, extensions of her. She wants to move everything upon her body, right, back into that state of harmonious relation. And man became disharmonious. Right? He removed himself in the story from nature and started living in concrete cities and sitting behind artificial screens under artificial light, losing his connection to the stars, to the earth, to the plant kingdoms, to the animals, to the calls and whispers of the wind. I feel like plant medicines, these sacred medicines, these sacred spirits, wise ones they are coming to us now, for those that feel that call to reunify and to reactivate what was once known but has been long forgotten. Nature has a way of regenerating things, yeah? It must be like a burning off of the old and a reseeding of the new, yeah? I feel like these medicines help establish a direct line again to remembrance of connection that one knows deep in their bones but has forgotten. A access to something beyond mind, beyond the psyche, into, let's say, those more metaphysical, mystical, magical realms where the individual can potentially, through the use of different medicines, if facilitated in a really safe and beautiful way, have access to moving through time, the time-space in a very malleable way, to bend time and space, to access parts of self, or even, things that had been left behind or unresolved, yeah. And in turn, the byproduct of that is obviously creating a greater state of health and well-being in that person. So I am all for Yeah, if the individual feels that calling, if there is a deep sense of reverence and respect, I think this is the use of sacred plant medicines must have encoded into it, if one is to walk that path and to enter into such experiences, a foundation of reverence and respect. Yeah, because they're such powerful substances, such powerful medicines, each of them, and there are many different healing plants around the world, but say most commonly used, psilocybin, ayahuasca, San Pedro, peyote, iboga, things of this nature, tremendously healing spirits. Yeah, each of them having slightly different characters to them, accessing different parts. Yeah, so depending on what the individual is called to, is obviously in alignment with what is required at that stage of their journey. But entering into that, I feel like just having deep reverence and deep respect for the medicine that one is entering into relationship with, and dropping all expectation around what it could be, what it should be, what it might be, right? Because everyone is needing something very different at that moment in time. I think if we can meet it with an openness, and we are also discerning whom we may be sitting with in ceremonies, who is conducting that ceremony. Is this somebody that has tremendous experience with this? Is this someone who has devoted and dedicated their life to facilitation of, deep psychological states, emotional states, physical responses, spiritual guardianship, understands those planes of existence? That's I feel it composes a good facilitator, a safe facilitator, because in those spaces of altered or heightened connection, the person facilitating has a tremendous impact on the container, on the energetic container. And if they are ill-equipped, unexperienced in dealing with the depths of the human psyche, understanding the processes of emotional release, yeah, understanding how to keep the body in a good way, and understanding the spiritual planes, the dimensions above that which is perceived, then we may be putting ourselves in an environment, say, that isn't so conducive of creating and instilling greater harmony and discovery within self. Yeah, so I feel like that discernment must be present with a person. We must not be in a rush to enter into such things, but we'll find that the synchronicity of life, if we're really listening, we find ourselves with the right person at the right time. Empty, no expectation, deep reverence, deep respect, yeah, and a willingness to look at maybe things that we haven't yet had the courage to shed the light of our awareness upon, and put it into action. Don't just learn such things and have such tremendous insights and then don't live it. Just talk about it. What use is that? So there's I feel like with all the sacred medicines, there's a role they play, and there's also a role that we must uphold. They can help reveal the inner workings and the inner mechanics of life, of this vehicle, of this mind, of the higher spiritual planes, but then you have to be an active, conscious participant in putting that which you have come to know in those higher states of awareness and perception into action. Do something with it, right? So there's this beautiful relationship. The plants and the medicines need us and we need them. Yeah, this is a good relationship where there is a giving and a taking. Yeah, I'm honoring everything I'm receiving. If I'm lucky enough to sit in ceremonies and I have deep reverence for that medicine, I'm willing and ready to be humbled if I need to be humbled. Yeah, I'm willing and ready to release tears, purging, anything that is being weighing on me. I want to rid myself of that weight. So I will go through the necessary process to lift that weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just going to leave and then put that weight back on. You know?
Oh, I forgot my stuff.
Set it down and pick it back up again.
Yeah.
You know? This is the way I can have respect and reverence to the medicine. The medicines may show me, may reveal, may give me insight, clarity, direction, perception, whatever might be there. But I will do something with it. I will honor it. I will walk with it with integrity, with honesty, yeah, as it is a gift that has been gifted to me. I walk in that way, hold it in that way. It is a blessing to work with such powerful medicines, and we must be the humble students of such great teachers. Right? So I know there is much curiosity around this subject, and there's those that are really wanting to explore, but I suggest exploring in a good way, yeah, with those that have those sort of badges. They've earned their stripes, they've spent their time learning the ins and the outs of multidimensional consciousness, because some of those medicines take you into those planes. And if we have someone who can facilitate, understands those realms and can traverse them, they steer the ship there.
Yeah. You don't want a pilot that doesn't really know how to fly a plane.
Exactly. So we just have to be a little cautious there. I feel like any of those prickly stories around ceremonial places and ceremonies that people have had more of those negative experiences have been the effect of a facilitator that wasn't prepared already to hold that sort of a powerful space. Yeah. There's a certain, I suppose, qualification that's required that it traditionally takes decades to prepare for, in order to be in a responsible space and equipped enough to hold such a container, because those in the container are very open, yeah, and if you can hold that impeccability energetically, all is well. If you aren't a living embodiment of that yet, then we're going to create something different. Right? So, yeah, explore, of course, beautiful allies to the expansion of human consciousness and our evolution as a human race. Not everyone's cup of tea, of course, but tremendous healing abilities, tremendous breakthroughs, and I feel like moving forward into the future, the use of psychedelic medicines for the means of healing some really deep stuff, emotional, mental, and disharmonies in people is going to be at the forefront. So we have to look at this in a good way, approach it in a good way, yeah, and have those that are willing and ready to devote time and energy and effort to hold those safe containers for people to heal and to come together and to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with Chinese medicine herbalism, for instance, everything's about, well, a few different things, but the nature of a flavor. So if you need someone to astringe or pull the blood back in, you would give them sour. Or if you need the lungs to open, you would give them pungent, and because you're getting the nature of how that flavor operates on the body to be able to express through the body. How much do you feel like if somebody has a curiosity that they feel they are being called in whatever way, and as you said, it's like, working with that and then attracting the teacher basically in your own ripeness, do you just think that the medicine will find you? Or how much do you think it's important that somebody understands the different characteristics or personalities or whatever of how Mother Nature is using that plant to express itself?
That's a good question. I feel like there's a few ways to look at that. My own personal experience with being called to work with medicines was always a very magical one to me. And this story will give an answer to that question. My first calling to the medicines, I received insight through meditation. I was just sitting in my own meditation, and I would often receive different messages, different teachings, different guidance, right? And I received the message, it's time to work with plant medicines. And to me, I had at that point in my life no real reference other than herbalistic sort of teas and herbalist medicines. I was like, what are you talking about? But I followed that thread, and I had never heard of anyone. My first use of plant medicines was ayahuasca. I spent some time in the deep in the Amazon basin, learning from the Shipibo Indians in there, and spending time in ceremony and learning the ways of the medicine and their beautiful healing songs, and just immersed myself in that beauty. But it was magical the way I got called there. I had never heard of anyone who had worked with that medicine before. I knew nothing about that medicine. I didn't know anything, right? And as I pulled on that thread and followed it, I soon found myself just knowing I needed to go on this quest. I went to the jungle by myself, didn't know anyone. I didn't really even know what I was kind of getting myself into, right? But I felt, for me, everything had always been, anything that arose from within, I just had a knowingness. It was like unquestionable. My logical mind could never question with it, like question it. It was always like, this is just a thing, right? So for me, it wasn't so much about the spirit of Aya compared to the spirit of mushrooms. I needed to study and learn which one was which, but that may be the case for some people. For me, it was like that plant just called me. And it called me all the way across the other side of the world. I had to catch 5 planes to get there. Several days. I went through months of dieta, which is restricting my diet tremendously. No salts, no sugar, no meat, no sex, no stimulants, no nothing. So I had reverence and respect, right? I felt the call. I needed to refine. I did. I put in the sweat and the tears, right? Into preparing myself to meet that teacher, because I already had reverence and I didn't even know the teacher of that medicine. And from there, established a tremendously rich and beautiful remembrance. And I felt like when I was in that ceremonial space, for the first time in my life, I felt this is where I belong. I found the thing. I wasn't even looking for the thing. I accidentally stumbled across it. Did I accidentally stumble across it?
Yeah.
But I found the place that I felt like I belonged, even though I still had this was still brand new for me. But I felt like I had been in that ceremonial space, weaving in those ways for long, long ages. It ran through my blood. So for me, it was like the mother calling me home. Called me home. And that may not be for everyone, but this, I couldn't question it. Right? So to me, I come to see the spirit of that medicine in a certain light, and as you would make friends with someone, you learn over years, spending time with them, even in ceremony, out of ceremony. Once the spirit is there, the spirit is there. You have a connection to that spirit. So for me, it was just that calling, that knowing that I had to follow that thread. There was nothing, no one would have stood in my way. There was nothing anyone could have said. I just knew I needed to be there, although I had no context of what it was. I knew what was right, and I had done that previously so many times in my life that I trusted it above all things. Even though it looked risky on the outside to so many of my loved ones around me, they're like, "You go into the jungle by yourself, you don't even know what's there. What do you like?" I'm like, "I just know, trust me. I trust it, and I don't even know, but trust is there, right? So that was my overlighting, drive, and my inner compass was driving me. Now, to sort of speak to the other side for people that are wanting to know a little bit about them, of course, there's lots of information around them, but each plant, in my experience, is a different teacher, but all serving the one totality of nature. Right? Yeah, I find like the mushrooms tremendously, like the mycelium network, very good at connecting body, mind, feelings, very good at interweaving all of those pathways that had been potentially damaged along the way. The pathways between mind and feeling, feeling and body, body and mind, and spirit. Like there had been subtle fractures that unfold in a human being's experience. And like the mushrooms are very good at interconnecting, re-establishing good, healthy web of network. Right? Some of the grandfather medicines like peyote and San Pedro, we call them grandfather medicine. Wise like the grandfather, and direct like a grandfather. On the contrary, we have grandmother. Grandmother is often more patient. Grandmother is also we call ayahuasca grandmother medicine. The wise grandmother, the elder. But the spirit between grandmother and grandfather, they're very complementary together, but have subtle differences. Grandfather is very energizing, very direct with his insight. Here, look at that, drop that, go. Grandmother will offer more and let you figure it out. She's like the spider that weaves the web, and you have to interpret the cosmic vision of things, and you're the student in there. She gives more patience, more time for you to realize. Whereas grandfather's a little bit more, can you see the thing? Got the thing? Do the thing. Sweet, but also stern. There's a little bit more, not intimidation, but that feeling of like, ooh, respect, like, you're gonna call me out here. And sometimes we need a good calling out, like, cut the shit. You see what you're doing to yourself? Stop doing it. Obviously. Like, But grandmother is a bit more lenient. She's like, do you see any occurrence here? I'm not saying anything. More just put it on the table and I'll be patient with you to figure it out. We'll figure it out together. Or I just nudge a little bit. Look, something over here. A bit more gentle in her approach. Just as generally speaking, right? The way that spirit can play out or is so diverse. Depending on how the medicine wants to interface with you, right? Because we all have our own pre-frames going on. Some people have lots of, pre-frame around, religion and beliefs and things like this. So medicine will work with that, will interface with what you deem to be holy, what you deem to be sacred, what you have in the way, what symbol will make you click. That's the thing. That symbol, that means nothing to me, but it means something significant to you. So the medicine adapts. It's intelligent. It works with what you have already framed. So it can interface with you. And it interfaces with me in an entirely different way. I've always been very visionary, my ability to access, I suppose there's more psychic realms of perception have been very developed from a very young age. I didn't try to do it, it was just there. So that was my way of interfacing with the world, was through a lot of visions and a lot of feelings, a lot of abstract information, and I was able to decipher that. So medicine interfaces in that way with me. Very cosmic visions, very higher perceptions of dimensional realities and things like this, but that helps me here in this world. But for someone else, that way of interface might be like, what the shit is that?
Yeah.
What do I do with this?
Yeah.
But a little more grounded approach may be for them. So it will always interface with the individual in a way that is most compatible with their makeup. But yeah, always coming back to deep reverence and respect and being really humbled to work with the presence of a sacred teacher in a really good way. The energetic container is absolutely paramount, right? How that is held is a massive, massive impact on what will be experienced. Yeah, so impeccability around space holders, ceremonialists, paramount. Yeah. So I think that's a good approach. Yeah. But yeah, everything does have its own spirit, but that's also a nice thing to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because what it might be to me, what I've just explained, might be entirely different to someone else. But experientially myself, that's what I've come to see. Some of them, of course, you could speak all day on different medicines, but they've just been a woven part of my own journey, and my inner compass directed me to them. Some were on my radar for many years before I ever even thought or felt the call to work with them. But they were there, kind of just humming behind the scenes. I was like, yeah. I always said to myself, when it like presents itself, when it's like, here, the invitation almost lands in my lap, mystically, then that is the time. Until then, I'm patient. I wait. If it is to be, it will be. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. That's a good way of approaching things. It's like not forced. It just comes in if it needs be. Yeah, so much beauty and so much deep respect for the plants and the plant teachers, and to all of the beautiful brothers and sisters and elders, great guardians that are holding these sacred medicines and facilitating these beautiful ceremonies for the upliftment and the unity of humanity. They're true servants, and they're serving on a phenomenal level that's being unrecognized. It doesn't really need to be recognized, but I really love to pay respect to that. Yeah, the old ways guide us home. They're our like ancestral roots, and these great plants, it is a tremendous privilege and honor to serve them. Yeah, to learn from them, and to be of service to such great spirits, and weaving collectively all around the world. Yeah, and there's some of these great teachers, great shamans, great healers, great saints that are holding these sacred gatherings and really serving humanity on a phenomenal level. Phenomenal. Yeah. The call of the mystery.
It's an interesting one. I feel like my first experience with plant medicine was almost similar to you. Like in meditation, had the call, but I was probably actually, in hindsight, arrogant about it, as in just ticking it off the list. It was just almost like a box tick thing, like as far as, okay, that seed's planted, I'll fly to Peru, I'll do the thing, and wasn't at the time, I don't think. I thought I was holding reverence, and I thought I respected it, but I look back now and I'm like, oh, I think it was just like, almost like that. Yeah, just go do the thing, and then probably ended up in a situation, same as you, traveling by myself, middle of nowhere. Didn't even, I don't think I even told anybody really, maybe one friend, what I was doing, because I just couldn't stand the thought of everyone being like, don't do that, what are you doing? That I was just like, oh, I'm just going to go do the thing. And then it's interesting as far as, yeah, how much I like ended up like completely balking at that experience and didn't feel held through that at all. And then how much that almost, I feel like, I've had to unwind that so much of, even though I think somewhere it gave a lot to me, and also just realizing how much I wasn't able to hold my own vulnerability in a situation like that. Yeah, it was a really interesting process that I think taught me more than I know. But in reflecting, it was like, yeah, from the arrogant space of like, oh yeah, well, I've been called, this fits in my life now. I've just sold my business, I don't have a job anymore, so might as well just go tick that box. But it's interesting of how it all weaves and works out.
Yeah. There's a plan to it all.
In spite of us.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it's a good thing, you know. Sometimes when we have those journeys, or you know, and it's a little more difficult, and it maybe takes us years to sort of feel the call again. You know, sometimes it's part and parcel of like really the remedy we were needing at that point in time. But you know, it's nice to have that information there to like, can I just soften and feel into this? Can I not rush to tick off the box? So we're kind of already on a really good step forward, not ignorantly moving forward or prematurely. And we don't also want to instill that like balk in people either. Like, have I thought it over? It's not about thinking. It's really like a feeling it out.
Yeah.
I navigate the feeling of being called through just being with myself. Does this feel like really right? Do I feel the person I'm going to go, you know, sit with is like, yeah, solid, you know? Yeah, cool, I do. Good. Don't question it anymore. Move into it. But if there's little alarm bells ringing there, just register, right? Because we don't want to unnecessarily put ourselves in a really hard situation. And when we're not held in those really fragile moments of greater exploration of consciousness and sensitivity in the field, then, you know, it can sometimes be a bit scary for people, you know, when not held in the correct way. So that's, yeah, some advice I would sort of hand on to people. Just be cautious of who you're sitting with, and just feel into your own ripeness and readiness to receive that, and also be open for it to be anything. Don't expect these wondrous things, or don't expect it to be hard either, right? For me, like, ceremonial was always about a celebration of life. It wasn't about hard lifting, heavy lifting, breaking through this and getting rid of that. It wasn't all this hard work. It was like, oh, I'm so alive, and I'm so grateful to be alive, and I'm so present. I'm so with my body, and so with my breath, and so with this soul, and so with the ebb and the flow of nature around me, the hum of it all, the breath that is pulsing through the cosmos. Like, just the celebration of purely being alive was like, what else? Like, what a greater gift. Like, I didn't want anything else, yet I was there. And I would just experience this tremendous, beautiful richness of the celebration of my life. I would sing to that. I would move to that. I would like let it wrap me up and hold me. There was so much reassurance in that, and just re-establishing the vision of what is. I think that's what medicine helps us do. Get out of the delusion of what you think life is, and brings you back to the reality of what actually is. Then I could see clearly, my gosh, my life is a celebration. Let me treat it that way. My gosh, life is sacred. How did I not see that before? So I lived in that way. I finally saw it to be sacred. I finally saw how beautiful and how grateful I could be. And I potentially wasn't before, just because I didn't see it for what it is. And then the veil was lifted and I saw it. And then I could move in accordance with it and be grateful for my life and celebrate my life and celebrate other people's lives and spread joy and happiness and be be as I was always meant to be, you know? So it brought me back to life. It was never, and I don't think these medicines are about at all escaping in any way. That's why they're so therapeutic. They bring you back. Other substances that would be classified as substances, not real medicines, take us away from ourselves, distract us. We become aloof, absent. The essence of a medicine is about a remedy. It brings us back. It unifies again, back to that vision of unity. All comes back to the whole. You land back here in your life in those fundamental principles of being grateful and honored and seeing one another and holding ourselves in a good way and being in the world in a good way and just celebrating the life we've been given and treating it all as that celebration. So like that's what I'm talking about. What a blessing, you know.
And for me, it's that interesting experience of, even though speaking to my first experience, but there's no way you can be distracted. I think it's so internal that it's, and I guess then that's maybe why that's the scary part about it.
Yeah, it is. People are not so willing to look at things so closely. We've, culture kind of like learn, especially Western culture, not to pay attention to those things. Don't look there.
Don't look at my scar. Don't look at my blemish.
Yeah. But there's so much beauty in looking. It's a reintegration of the parts of ourselves that we have rejected. That, as I said, doesn't need to be scary. It's like, oh, why did I leave you behind? Why did I reject you? Why did I shun you? You actually, all you wanted was my love, was my acceptance, was to be seen, felt, heard, held. That's all. Oh, wow. Now you're not like the shadow underneath, hiding in the corner. Not the boogeyman under my bed anymore for me. I made friends with those parts. Instead of escaping myself, I'm more with myself. Being with yourself offers the experience, the lived experience of more inner peace, a sense of peace and restfulness. Because we can't be at rest if we're always trying to escape. Right?
Yeah.
But you're literally, mentally and emotionally running all the time. Never wanting to stop in the house and rest. When we deal with these things, we become the dweller that can rest within in the temple. You know? Oh, rest. I was looking for that. I was so thirsty for that. But all I did was run. Come back, do some housekeeping, clean the temple, and rest. You deserve so much rest. You know? And you make wise decisions from a rested place. You're very accurate and you respond to life in a really beautiful way when you're well rested and you're actually here. So, one of the great blessings of these healing medicines is that helps us do that housework, helps us come back to ourselves and stop escaping, opens up so much and also helps ground. And when that is done, then we have lots of work that we do during that process. That is our responsibility. Yeah. But it cultivates something tremendously rich. Yeah. But it's not the only way to cultivate that. It's just another path that leads to the ocean, Just another path. Yeah.
Which path seems brightest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many paths.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is no right, there is no wrong, there's just many paths. What do you choose?
Choose your own adventure.
Exactly. I like that. Good?
Good.
Good.